Hi and welcome to iStep Prep Test Taking Skills and Strategies. I'm Danielle Martinez, a student learning advocate at Indiana Cyber, and we partner with One-on-One Learning to come up with this presentation for you in preparation for your iStep that's coming up. One-on-One Learning is a tutoring company that also provides online tutoring to some of our Indiana Cyber students. So let's get started. First off and foremost, good test prep starts with your health. The night before the test, make sure you get a good night's rest. In the morning, eat a healthy breakfast and relax a few hours before bedtime the night before. Do some easy stretches on the morning of the test to get oxygen flowing to your brain. And always remember it's important to keep a positive attitude about the test. We're going to start off with the English and Language Arts portion first. And I want you to remember that although we don't go into science or social studies if you are taking those subtests, all of these test-taking strategies and skills can be applied when you do take those tests as well. So just keep that in mind. We're going to start with the vocabulary. I want you to take a moment and pause this video and go over the key words or phrases that are used in the vocabulary. This will give you a good idea of what to expect and the words to expect on the iStep test. So go ahead and pause the video now. Now we're going to talk about some test-taking strategies with reading. Some of these you may already know, but it's always good to have a reminder, especially with an important test coming up like the iStep. Read and follow the directions closely. Read the passage carefully and underline or circle the important information. Read each question carefully to make sure that you understand what it's asking. Pay special attention to words that are bold, italics, uppercase, or underlined. These are emphasized text and are important to note. Look back or reread the passage to find the correct answer to the question. Answer all the questions on the test and don't leave any of them blank. Look back at the passage as often as you need to answer the question completely. It's also important to study any pictures, charts, or graphs, tables, or captions that are included with the passage. Make sure your answer is based on the information in the passage. Budget your time wisely. Check answers carefully. Now we're going to go into some multiple choice test-taking skills just to remind you to do these things. Read all your answer choices first before choosing your response. You may come across the first choice and think, oh, that sounds like a great answer. But remember, we're looking for the best answer, and there may be two good answers that you need to choose the best answer from. Think about the answer before selecting the answer from the choices. And like I said, choose the best answer. Be sure you're bubbling in the choices correctly. Don't leave any stray marks around the answer spaces. Change your first answer choice only if you're sure that it's incorrect. If you do change your answer, make sure you erase it completely. Frequently check that you're filling in the right bubble. Use approximately 1 minute for each item answered. This will give you a good idea of pacing yourself. Now I'm going to go into a strategy for reading and for answering multiple choice questions. It's called Search and Destroy. And your plan of attack is going to be to preview the text and number all the paragraphs that you've read. Circle the title, any jump out words, charts, pictures, or numbers, because these can be important to answer the questions. Preview the questions. Circle keywords and identify question type. Is it a main idea? Should I look for context clues? Is it cause and effect? Read the text and write side notes. Answer the questions and go back into the text to prove your answer. Test-taking strategies for writing. Again, read and follow the directions. Read the prompt carefully and completely. Plan to include lots of examples and details in your response. Budget your time wisely. Make sure you're using all of the lines provided to write your entire essay. and check your essay response and make corrections to improve your writing. In other words, make sure you go back and you edit. Here I've given you an example of a sandwich chart. What this is it's a graphic organizer that will help you get your ideas together in creating either an extended response or a short answer. Make sure that the bun of your answer includes a topic and a concluding sentence. All of the meat, or the tomatoes, the lettuce, and the meat in the middle, those are the details. So always make sure that your responses to anything include all of these parts. Here's another thing that you can remember while you're doing any long responses or even short responses is RAP, R-A-P-P. You're going to want to restate the question, so change the question to a statement to begin your short answer response. You're going to answer the question, determine your answer, and state it in a complete sentence. Prove it with the text, reread and search the text, find at least 2 supporting details that prove your answer, and then rewrite it into your response. Proofread and edit. Ask yourself these questions. Does my answer make sense? Have I used punctuation correctly? Are all capital letters used correctly? Are all words spelled correctly? What do good writers do? Well, they remember capitals and punctuation, spell words correctly. If you don't know exactly how to spell a word, then write the word as close to the sounds that you hear. Write neatly. It's very important that the person reading your response can read the information that you've written and understand what you are trying to say. Add lots of detail. Writing needs to make sense. Think before you write. If you need to, use a graphic organizer. In this case, you may need to use a graphic organizer like the sandwich chart, but do it in your head. If the answer calls for it, have a plot. Make sure there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And do your best to pass the test. Read, think, and then write. You are a good writer. Have confidence in what you're doing. Now we're going to look at a sample of an extended response writing applications rubric. I'm showing this to you for you to get an idea of what the person grading your response is looking for. They're looking at the ideas and content of your paper or of your response, the organization, the style, and the voice. Take a moment and pause this video and go through each section so that you have a good idea of what a score point 4, which is a very good score, looks like. I'd like you to do the same thing with this slide. On the left-hand side, there is a writing prompt about a student behavior report. On the right-hand side, it shows you a score point 6 response. It's important for you to get an idea of what these good responses look like so that you can gear your writing towards that. Okay, so you're going to make sure at the top you've got your introduction, your beginning, in the middle you've got your details, and then in the end you've got your conclusion. For example, in this response, the student begins the conclusion with, "In conclusion." Make it very clear what you're talking about. Now we're going to enter into the math portion. First things first, review the vocabulary that may be on the test. This is important, just as in the reading, to become familiar with the type of vocabulary that you may see on the test. Again, pause the video and take some time to look over it. Test-taking strategies in math. Some of these are very similar to reading, and like I said before, they can be applied to science and social studies as well. Let's go over a few of them. Read and follow the directions carefully. Read each question to make sure you understand what it's asking. Pay special attention to any text that's bold, italics, uppercase, or underlined. This generally means that this is important. Answer all the questions on the test. Never leave anything blank. Study the pictures, charts, graphs, tables, and captions presented. And underline or circle important information. With multiple choice items, you want to solve the problem first, then look for the answer among the choices given, or work backwards from the answer choices that you're given. Use the white space in the test book to do your calculations. Always show your work. It's important for you to show your work because you get graded not only on your answer, but also the method that you use to get to your answer. This is important to note because even if your answer is incorrect, if the person that's grading your test looks at the method and sees that you have the right method in place and you're using the correct operations, you will still get credit for that portion. Read all answer choices first before choosing your response. Don't just go with the first answer you see, even if you think it may be correct. Be sure to fill in the bubbles correctly and don't make any stray marks around the answer spaces. Change your answer only if you're sure that the answer is incorrect, and if you do so, make sure you erase it completely. Once in a while, make sure that you're filling in the appropriate bubble, and use approximately 1 minute for each item answered. This is a great way of pacing yourself. Let's talk about the 7 steps to problem solving. This is a great tool to use when you're solving any type of math problem, especially when we get to word problems. Read the problem, underline the question, circle keywords, box important numbers, decide which operations to use, write a number sentence, and then solve the problem. Now you try. See if you can take a few moments and solve this problem using those steps. Now let's try it together. Step 1, read the problem. Eric saved $24 in September, he saved $43 in October, and $10 in November. Then Eric spent $70 on a video game. How much money does Eric have left? Step 2, underline the question. How much money does Eric have left is the question. Step 3, circle key words. In this case, I circled the words saved and spent. This saved tells us that we're gaining money and spent tells us that we're losing money. Step 4, box important numbers. 24, 43, 10, and 70 are all numbers that were boxed. These are numbers that were either saved or spent. Step 5, decide which operation to use. In this problem, we're using addition and subtraction. Saved means we're adding, and spent means we're subtracting. 6, write a number sentence. First, we're going to add the numbers 24, 43, and 10, and then subtract 70 from the total. Step 7, solve the problem. In this case, the answer is 7. If you didn't get it right on the first try when you did it yourself, why don't you go ahead and try it again? This is important for you to look at, and I encourage you to stop the video at this point and read the gridded response information. This is a Scantron response, and it's very important that you look over the way in which you fill in fractions and decimals and numbers in general. So please take some time and read this over. It's very important. You may have the correct answer, but if you fill it in incorrectly, it counts wrong. Let's talk about some resources that are available to you as we get close to the I-STEP. Study Island goes into specific practice in math, English and language arts, science, and social studies. Ask your SLA for more information if you haven't received your username and password. We strongly encourage you to go in there and practice some content before your test. Practice makes perfect. If you haven't yet, visit the Department of Education's website for sample tests and resources. The address is given right here. On this webpage, you'll find item samplers. These are samples of the tests according to grade level and subject. Please feel free to do these sample tests. This will give you a really good idea of what to expect on your I-STEP test. Finally, your exit ticket. We're almost done. This exit ticket is important because you need to email the answers to it to your SLA. You must also bring this ticket to the test site on the day of your test and you'll get a prize. Attached to the email you received this presentation will include an exit ticket document that you can print off. So please email these answers to your SLA and also bring it to the test site on the day of your test completely filled out. And good luck. I know you're going to do great.